Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today is a bright, I don't even know if I can show you the sun, sunny day. It's warm out here, not a cloud in the sky, and look at this poor pathetic little Canadian flag here. And what does that tell you? There's no wind. It's hot. Oh, and then my husband's down there going hi hi. It's hot, and so what does that tell you? It's a perfect day to do coffee staining. So I've got everything ready. I'm just gonna swing you around here. See my front yard, isn't that great? You're gonna have to listen to traffic going by. Tom is my gardener. If it was up to me, all I'm capable of growing is weeds, but he is starting to plant some plants here. And it's looking good. It'll take a little while, of course, before everything to fill in. So over there I have my paper dipping station, which will have my coffee, and you can see my tripod. So you know that I will be hooked up to it later today as I go along. And then on this table here, I don't want to have shadow, so I'm going to go from this side. I have my different plastic doilies, and I have a big bag of lace because I'm ambitious, although I don't know how far I'll get. I have the rest of that pad of paper that I started with Thelma. I have the pre-mixed dyes that we had when we were doing these coffee staining. And then here I've mixed some acrylic paints into just little bottles. And I put about 5 drops and then filled it with water just to play around with the paints. They're fun to use with lace and fabric because it gives a very mottled, variegated look. Sometimes the color comes out really intense, and then in other spots it's very, very thin and lighter. So it's nice to create some different laces. And hopefully if I get to that, I can show you what they're going to look like and my process. And then in this tub over here, I have an assortment of fabrics. Yes, don't be shocked. I'm going to coffee stain this. Yes, it's too white for me. And then I have some torn up doilies, and I didn't tear these up. Somebody else gave them to me all cut up. I have some offcuts of paper because, when the day is done, I will probably just do all this one after another, just a quick dye bath. Here's another tablecloth. I think this one has got a big stain in it. And there's some lace and fabric. I have this, I have some dryer sheets. I don't collect a lot of them. I just collect a few of them and use them. And then I have a piece of this wedding dress, the bodice with the beads and lace applique still on it. So I'm going to color that. And then just more pieces of fabric and stuff underneath. And I have a steno notepad. And just to show you, again, this is something I would do at the end of the day when, I just have a little bit of leftovers to clean up. So I will tear out pages and just dip them in just to get them done. And I also brought up a columnar ledger. I told you I'm ambitious today, but it's very hot, so I don't know how much I'm going to get done. So that's just a ledger sheet. I'm going to coffee stain and play around with that, and maybe put some flowers on there too. Who knows? And then I have my container of these grids. These are for making those crafty shelves, that you can, or cube shelves that you can put all over the place. I just kept them because I love the grid pattern in there, and I just thought this would make a nice pattern on the paper when it's coffee dyed. So, and if it were windy, I would use it as a shield to keep my paper from flying all over the place. So far I'm working with one table, but I will bring up a second table if I feel I need to. But right now I'm going to try with this. So I'm going to shut the camera off and come back and show you some of the process as I go along. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, here I am again. All right, I have some coffee in my metal cookie sheet here and water. And all I did is I added just some instant coffee granules. You can pick that up very inexpensively at the dollar store. And I've added 3 teaspoons, and I just filled this with water. I don't have an exact measurement. If I'm using a deeper container, I put 4. If I don't like the color, I just add a little bit more or add more water, depending on what it is. And I'm just using lukewarm water. Nothing hot or boiling. I don't think I need it today. I'm just swirling it around to make sure that the granules are all dissolved so that there are no spots, because those spots will leave marks in your paper. You know, they look nice too. And so now I've got it stirred up a little bit. And I just grabbed a few sheets of paper and a few sheets of doily, and I'm just going to submerge this in the water. And just coat it with my brush a little bit. I hope you'll be able to see all of this. I'm going to just do 1 or 2 sheets with you on the camera, and then I'm going to stop and I'm going to work on them on my own. And I'm just going to lift this very carefully and get a little bit of water movement in there as well. This is how I do them. And I have my first sheet coated. I don't want them to be super dark this time around. I want a lighter version of what we did last time. I found them a little bit dark. And I'm just going to lay this very carefully on the table. I hope you can see that. And it's already bubbling a little bit. I should have just laid it gently here. Smoothing it out a bit. And then I'm going to lay this doily on top. I'm going to do another one. And I hope again that you can see this. I know I'm in the shadows here. Laying that down and putting this doily on top. Now I'm going to sort of put this one off to the side a little bit. I'm just pressing it down. And I'm going to move over and do a few more. I know you have to put up with the shadow. It's just too bright on the other side of the table. I couldn't even see myself. So I'm just lifting this. The one thing about picking a hot day like this is I am very pale. I do not suntan. So I had to put a shirt on. Whoa, it is hot. I have a longer shirt on, and just laying that down. And I could actually just take these papers off in the whole stack, but a lot of them will have that white that will show through a little bit. And, you know, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. So today I'm just going to get rid of the white marks by just dipping it again in the coffee. And then laying that down flat on the table. Now it's coffee. It will wash off. At the end of the day, I'll just use a little bit of bleach and water and a scrub brush, and it'll come off. So this one, I've got a nice long doily here. I'm going to put half of it on this one and just a little bit on that one. And so now that I have all these doilies sitting on here, I'm just going to take my brush in the coffee and I'm just going to brush a little bit extra over top of where the doily is, so that it just gives it a little bit more dark color, going through all the little holes, brushing it on. There is no fancy technique. Or not for me anyway, I just brush it on however. And I don't worry if they turn out perfect or not. You know, sometimes they turn out like mud, but sometimes I like that look. And so hopefully you can see me going back and forth on all of these. At least part of it, if nothing else. Okay, and I'll do this one here just to show you. So now I'm going to go quickly and grab a couple of dyes and paints to play with. Oop, I moved that one. Hopefully it's not too late. That's a nice muddy bath, isn't it? And I'll finish up this one, even though you might not be able to see it. The school bus just went by. I don't know if you heard that. It's kind of late, isn't it, for the kids to be going to school? Maybe it's something special today. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my dyes and paints. Now again, I don't care if the colors get a little bit mixed up or you know, one bleeds onto the other, because I think it just adds more interest. But I'm going to start out with this teal blue. Okay, I don't have to go that far as the cap. And I'm going to just drizzle a little bit on this one. And I also have the teal paint, acrylic paint that I mixed up. I put about 5 drops in this little bottle and then filled it up with water and then just shook it. And so I'm going to add some of that in there. It's not going to have the same effect as the dye. As you can see, it's a very watered down version, but I'm going to blend some of that into there. Let's see what happens, right? It's all an experiment. And then I think there's kind of this mauvey color, although there's not a lot of this left. This was a really good buy at $4 to buy the tie-dye kits. And I'm just going to spritz that on there. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of acrylic paint with it just to see what the effect will be with the two together. So I'm just going to spritz some around. And if you're only using a few drops, this is a great way to use up some odds and ends of paints. You can mix it right in the bottle. I just happened to have full bottles that I was using. And I'm going to take my brush and just brush this out a little bit. It may turn some of this into mud again, I don't know. But there is some intense color there. So I don't want to take away completely that intense color. And I'm going to let it bleed onto the paper in the background a bit. So I've gone off the doily here. And look how this one is pooling. I'm just going to bring that color out a little bit here along the edge. I don't want to take away from that light blue that I've put on there. Again, I really hope you can see this. I'm just winging it. So just pulling that color just a little bit to the edge. And then this one I'm just going to leave plain for now. And I'm going to shut off the camera because I'm going to be doing the same thing with different colors. And I will show you when the table is full. And then, of course, you'll get to see more of the things that I do a little bit later on. So I'm going to stop for now, and I'll be right back. Oh, Nelly, is it ever hot? So I realized, I went back and watched part of that video, and I realized you couldn't see these other doilies that well. But these were the 4 that I did originally. And you can still see the pooling of the light teal acrylic paint against the darker green, and then where I mixed a few of the bits together. That's the plain one, but I see there's one of those helicopters landed on my... We don't get a lot of these, but if you can get these somewhere, they make great dragonflies. Sorry, squirrel. So here's the one that I did with the purple and the pink acrylic paint, so I don't know what's going to happen there. And then these are the other doilies that I just did on the table here, just to show you the different types that I have and how I've layered them on the page. And you can't see it, but this one has 2 papers stuck together, and so one of them won't have a pattern, I don't think. But I hadn't brushed the coffee on these ones, so I'm going to do it now and just show you. I'm holding my camera, so you'll have to just bear with the fact that it's going to be shaky, and this is the only way I can do this where you can see everything because of the length of the table. So I'm just going over all these doilies with a little bit more coffee. Isn't this a pretty one? And just flicking it on. Luckily for me, we have to stain the deck, so if I get any dye or anything on the deck, it really isn't going to matter. Although I'm pretty sure this will all wash out quite easily. So I'm just pooling it onto the spots where the holes are, and whoop, going over this one a little bit more. The pan is quite far away from me over here, so I'm just bringing it in little scoops on the brush. And it doesn't have to be super intense. You can have a really light version of you know, by not putting the extra coffee on there. But I really like the pattern to show through. If you're going to go through all this work, you might as well have the pattern show through nicely, right? Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see this better. And brushing it on. Now, as much as I like the doilies, I will be doing a lot of pages that are just plain, and I'll just be laying them on the table until they're dry, and then peeling them off and starting again. So I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but let's do some yellow. I'm one-handed, remember, bear with me. So I'm going to do some yellow on this one. And I do like red. So I'm using some red dye on here now. I want to create kind of a mandala look if I can. And then a little bit of orange. Ooh, I grabbed the wrong one. Orange. So I don't know that it really matters for my video which colors I'm using. I'm going to put a little bit of orange around the outside there as well, just to see how that turns out. But it's just to show you the process of how I'm applying this, and I will show you the finished results when they're all done. So I'm going to continue on my own, just playing. I've got a green out now. I'll just show you one more. I'm going to do some green over top of this one. Oh, I didn't mix the color in there. Very good. There we go. Can you see that? And then this was a heart-shaped doily that I found at the dollar store. And that was, around Valentine's that I found it. And I've just spread it across the 2 pages, but it's a really pretty doily. Now I'm doing this one in a purpley shade. This is Caroline, one of Caroline's favorite colors. And I'm going to do some on this one, but I'm going to add some blues in this one. So there's a little bit of blue. I'm going to add some blue in here just to see what happens. And I like blue and green together. It gives me a little bit more. And you can see how the color is pooling in sections of these doilies. And I think I'll do a little bit of this yellow. Oop, now I'm making a mess. Just to see what happens here. And taking my brush, anywhere where it's pooling, I'm just going to pull the color a little bit, just to extend it and to help it dry a little bit faster. And I'm not going to show you, because we did do this in our last video, but I'm going to sprinkle some salt wherever this water is, and it should cause some nice big bubbles, and that will cause it to bleed out away from the salt. And so you'll see that effect when everything is done and dry. Okay, I don't want to muck up too much more around here. So I'm going to leave these to dry like this. And for the rest of the day, I'm going to be doing pretty much the same process. When I get to the point where I'm dipping lace and fabric, I will come back and show you that again. But I'm going to let all of these dry. It's going to take a while for them to dry. This one's looking very nice. The teal blue is really looking sharp. That's the paint, the light paint with the teal. So hopefully that one turns out. And this one's got the pink in it, so we'll see how that one works. It's so hard to tell at this point. But I'm going to leave these to dry, and I will come back to you in a little bit. Hello everyone, I'm back. Okay, so it is later in the day. It is hotter than ever. And I'll just show you something here first. Murphy's Law, or as they say, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. Or if you really like the weather, be prepared to have a change in 5 minutes. Look at the wind. My poor little Canadian flag. Yeah, it got really windy. And then things were blowing around again. And it was so hot. It's so stinking hot. And then I questioned, why are you doing this in this heat? Because we want the paper to dry, right? And so I've done some linens here. And I did the bodice of that wedding dress, but we'll come back to that one. So what I ended up doing was I ended up going inside. I have 3 tables out here now, or actually 4. I ended up going up inside and taking a screen each time with me, loading up 3 layers of papers. So I would put a vinyl tablecloth, 2 sheets of paper, another vinyl cloth, 2 more sheets of paper, and so on. So there's 6 papers on each of these. And I don't know what the outcome will be, what will transfer from one paper to the next, but you can sort of see them. I'll just lift this one up here. This is that heart. So I don't know what's going on underneath there. We'll wait and see. And I just did it this way because it's too hot to be sitting out here or standing out here dipping paper. So I'm dipping it over my sink onto the screen because I have a double sink, so one screen sits on the other side. And then when I have a layer of 6, I take them outside and slap them down here, and then I add some colors. So like, I don't know if you can really see the color in this one. It's got burgundies in it. And this one here just laid some oranges and reds. I'm really liking how these colors are turning out, but I don't know what's going to happen with the layers underneath or what's going to show, but I will follow up with that later. But I thought we would go and have some fun with the dress. So I'm just going to turn you around. I've really used up a lot of my inks, so I'm limited to the colors that I have. Ooh, my dress is already flying away on me. All right, so I will weigh it down once I'm done here. I think I'll just put this in the corner. I love how the white appliques turn this brown color. I just think that is such a gorgeous color. Once I'm back in my studio and you get to see the finished pieces, I think it'll look different. Right now there's just so much sunlight. So again, I wanted to play. I want to use up all of these inks that are left and colors. So I'm just going to just randomly choose a spot and let it bleed through onto the fabric however it does until it's gone. Or almost gone. I might go back to another color yet. And I'm going to let it pool. As you can see there, it's pooling a little bit. And now I'm adding some yellow. We're just going to have some fun. It's just a dress. I say yes to doing the dress. What do you say? Let's add a little bit of red paint. This is going to be very boho colors when I'm done. And so what fun it'll be to... Ooh, this is really coming out here, this red. Okay, might as well finish it off. And you're going, no, what are you doing? I'm having fun, and it's going to turn out beautiful. Let's see, we've got some mauve here left, not a lot. Okay, I've added some mauve. How about some blue? Or no, this is kind of a purple. I don't even have blues left. Whoop, take the lid off, Kim. That makes them work every time. Ooh. What kind of mess are we going to get ourselves into here now? Okay, let's add a little bit of this orange paint. So like I said, I really want to finish off the colors now as much as possible. We're just going to see what happens. Don't get alarmed. It's just a piece of fabric. It's just paint. I don't want the bubble, but I'll burst the bubble there. And it's already soaked right into the fabric in a lot of spots here. That's great. I'm going to go back to the yellow and add a little bit more yellow in here. What a fun piece this is going to be to work on, eh? And a little bit more purple because the purple has kind of disappeared there. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to show you for now until I'm completely done. I'm going to go inside and keep staining paper because I have 13 of these screens, so I think there's about 5 or 6 of them left. So once they're done, then I have to wait for the paper to dry because I can't lift the screen off and use it again, only because the wind will take my paper away. And even this is a little bit risky, but I will get some weights to put on this. And the rest of the fabric, I'm not too concerned if it flies away. I'll just be able to go catch it and pick it up. But I'm pleased with these pieces. That large piece that's plain, I thought about coffee or dyeing that, but I think what I'll do is I'll grab one of those little ones over there and do that one on the side. I won't put you through that. But this big one here will just get torn up into strips to use for raggy, shabby ribbons. And we'll have a play with that as well one day. So that's it for now. And I'll either stop the video completely or I will add more onto this depending on how long it is. I haven't looked at all the other parts to this. If it's too long, then I will have a part 2 where I show you the finished products. Okay, that's it for now.